Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you for the time that has given to us. Before we start this presentation, let us introduce ourselves. We are from Group 6, and my name is Komang Tria Prismayanti.
My name is Putu Sandra Yuliantari.
My name is Komang Cantika Hyang Sari.
My name is Sayu Dian Pradnya Paramita.
My name is Nandini Larasati.
In today's presentation, we will discuss about morphology. So morphology comes from Greek words that are morph and logy. Morph means form or shape. Logy means the study of something. And O is the connector between morph and logy. So morphology means the study of the internal structure of words and rules governing the formulation of words in a language. Morphology is also known as the grammar of words. In other words, morphology is the study of word formation that includes the way how the new words are created. Morphology studies on affixation by the words, which we can recognize the word class of particular words based on affixes that attach to them. Even we can study how to pluralize a noun in English grammar by studying English morphology, especially in English inflection. In studying morphology, words have important roles in our linguistic knowledge that we use and need to communicate with others every day. Word is a small unit of linguistic form limited by spaces. Although it is small, but we need it to make a sentence. Words can be simple, complex, or even compound. The next matter that is morphemes that will be explained by Sayu.
Okay, thank you, Tria. So now I will explain about morpheme. Morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit in language, and morpheme is a word that becomes the central point in studying morphology. A morpheme cannot be divided into a smaller part. In addition, a morpheme carries meaning and grammatical information such as plurality and tense marker. Next.
And I love morphology. Morphology.
And this is an example of a video about morpheme.
And I love morphology. Morphology comes to us by way of the Greeks, meaning the study of shapes and forms. The O in the middle is a connective for those two Greek words. Well, to understand morphology, you have to understand what morphemes are. And morphemes are the smallest unit of meaning, the smallest forms, if you will. But to understand morphemes, you have to know there are two types. We have free morphemes, which is just a word that can stand alone, and bound morphemes, which cannot stand alone. By the way, I accidentally wrote connector and it should be connective. But if I were to take the word heat, heat is a free morpheme. It can stand alone. But if I wanted to add a suffix s, S is bound. It cannot stand alone. And so the new word would be heats. Two morphemes. Let's say I added a prefix, re. Re can't stand alone. It's a bound morpheme. So I add it to heat, becomes reheats. Three morphemes. But let's analyze the base word for a second. Now, heat is an Anglo-Saxon base word. These are words that come to us by way of Old English. That's where England comes from. It used to be Angle land for the Anglos. But let's look at another word. Pretend this was written out. How many morphemes do you see? Well, we have miss as a prefix, suffix ed, and the base word spell. So there are three morphemes. Now we read left to right, analyze right to left. So in the past, I spelled something wrong, misspelled.
Okay, after watching the video, we can see that morpheme can be divided into two types. They are free morpheme and bound morpheme. Free morpheme are morpheme that can stand alone as a word without having to be attached to other morpheme. Free morpheme have several basic types, namely verb, noun, adjective, preposition, and other. Example study: verb, man as a noun, kind as adjective, and on as a preposition. Free morphemes are divided into two, namely lexical morpheme or open class and functional morpheme closed class. And the second one is bound morpheme, are morphemes that cannot stand alone but must be attached to other morpheme. Bound morpheme are divided into two, namely derivational morpheme and inflectional morpheme. Next. The next material will be explained by my friend Sandra.
Okay, I will continue the explanation about free and bound morphemes. Free morphemes. There are two parts of free morphemes, which is lexical morphemes and functional morphemes. Lexical morphemes are morphemes that can stand alone and can convey the contents of the message we convey. Lexical morphemes are divided into three, namely verbs, nouns, and adjective. For example, read is a verb, baby is a noun, and cool is an adjective. Next is functional morphemes. Functional morphemes are morphemes that can stand alone, but it is not clear what content will be conveyed. Unlike the lexical morphemes, which carry the core meaning of a word, functional morphemes serve to convey grammatical information. Functional morpheme divide into four, namely conjunction, preposition, articles, and pronouns. For example, but is conjunction, at is preposition, D is article, and she is pronoun. Next. Bound morphemes. Bound morphemes is also divided into two. There are derivational morphemes and inflectional morphemes. Let's talk about derivational morpheme first. Derivational morphemes are morphemes which, when attached to another morpheme, will form a new morpheme or word, or to form a word with grammar or lexeme that is different from the previous word. There are two types of derivationals, which can be found in the beginning of a word, or it's called prefix, and in the end of a word, or it's called suffix. For example, the word beautiful is an adjective. Beautiful is derived from the word beauty. Beauty is a noun, which gets the additional morpheme full, which turns the noun into beautiful is an adjective. So, for that reason, the morpheme full is included in the derivational morphemes, which are suffix, or it's located at the end of a word, because it changed the word from a noun lexeme to an adjective lexeme. Next is inflectional morphemes. Inflectional morphemes are morphemes attached to other morphemes only to identify their grammar, not to produce new words or form words with different grammar or lexeme from the previous word. For example, the word books is a noun. It's obtained from the word book, noun. Here, book changed to books because to explain that there are many books or plural. So it doesn't change the lexeme of that word because the word book to books remains in lexeme the same thing, namely the noun lexeme. The next material will be explained by my friends. Thank you.
Okay, I will continue the presentation. Now we're gonna analysis of morpheme. For example, the word cats. Cat is divided into one word and two morphemes. Cat is free morphemes and S is a bound morpheme. Next. There are two rules of word formation. There are suffix and prefix. So first we're gonna learn about suffix first. Suffix is a string that is added at the end of a word. suffix divided into two is derivational suffix and inflectional suffix. Derivational suffix changes the meaning of a word. And inflectional suffix transforms the base word into a different tense. Here is the example about common suffix. The first one is ER, engaged in something. ER, someone who performs an action. ION, the process of. Ness, condition or quality of something. Next, the adjective suffix, like able or able, that means capable of being. AL, pertaining to. ANT, tending to. The adverb suffix, like ly, in what manner something is being done, and word, in certain directions. Example of noun suffix, like teacher, from root word teach and add by noun suffix er, became teacher. The example of adjective suffix, like predictable, from root word predict and add by adjective suffix able, so became predictable. For example, adverb suffix, like honestly, from root word honest, and add by adverb suffix ly, became honestly. Next. Next is prefix. Prefix is a string that is at the beginning of a word and indicates its meaning. There are some common prefix. Auto, it means self, same, circum, around, about. Co, with, together. Com, con, together, with. Contra, control, means against, opposite. The means down, off, away from. This means not, apart, away, and means put into, cover with. X means out of, from, former. Extra means beyond, outside, more than. Hetero means different, others. Homo or homeo means same, alike. Hyper means over, more, beyond. Ill, means not, without. In means in, into. Inter means between, among. For example, word autobiography is from root biography and the prefix is auto, became autobiography. Okay, the next material will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the time. And next, I will explain about morph. Morph is the morphological string that studies the components of form, sounds, and phonetic symbols. There are two kinds of morph, which are lexical and also grammatical. Lexical has a dictionary meaning. For example, happy. Happy in dictionary meaning is an adjective. And next, grammatical is lexical meaning has been modified. For example, happy plus ly is happily, which is in adverb. Next.
Morphs are the basic building blocks of words. Morphs are the basic building blocks of words. Here are two present-day English words. We get two morphs per word, but since the representation is an orthographical one, we have to postulate two different morphs for the plural if we leave the base form intact. Thus, we need a phonemic analysis where it becomes obvious that both words involve the same morph for the plural. Let us now expand the analysis. Here are three nouns with their phonemic representation. Their plural forms involve three different morphs, but they have the same function. They all denote the plural form of a noun. Thus, they are members of a family of morphs that vary in sound but not in meaning. Such family members are referred to as allomorphs, and their head term is referred to as the morpheme. Morphs, allomorphs, and the morpheme itself are all represented within curly brackets. The label for the morpheme, which is an abstract head term, can freely be chosen. For example, we can use the dot notation used in language typology and label it noun plural. Or we can simply select the allomorph that occurs most frequently as the label of the morpheme. In any case, morphemes are abstract head terms, morphs their actual realizations.
Okay, from the video we can get the conclusion that morphs are the actual shape or realization of morpheme. They are defined as an element of speech or writing that express one or more morphemes. So, when we say the word man is carrying one morph and one morpheme, while the word man is carrying one morph and morphemes, man plus plural, because man cannot be divided, so it is the actual form of the word means the morph. This single form is carrying two different meanings. The man and plural means the two morphemes. Okay, material is allomorph. Allomorph is the variance of the same morphemes which they are said differently. We can say a different realization of one morpheme. Allomorph are the positional variants of a morpheme. They are in complementary distribution, means where one occurs in other cannot occur. For example, the word as for S, we say after the sound, such as in the word books. And the next is when we say dogs, we sound the Z after voice sound. And last one when we say boxes, the word is, we say a mixed sound after every shape and figurines.
Here I have some examples of allomorphs. The first one, the plural morphemes in English, usually written as, has at least three allomorphs. The first one we have us as in hats. The second we have us as in cars. And the third we have swazi or is as in boxes. The second, the past form morpheme, it has also three allomorphs. The first one we have it as in slammed. The second we have it as in slip. And the third we have it as in stilted. The third, we have the negative morpheme, which changes the prefix in to the consonant of the word it prefixes. The first one is ill, as in illegal. The second is im, as in impassioned. The third is ir, as in irregular. And the last is in, as in inconsiderate.
Okay, will be explained by my friend.
Okay. From learning morphology, we have to know what is the significance of learning it. Okay, for English teacher to be, have a better understanding on morphological concepts can help the students to develop their morphological awareness while learning foreign language. Hopefully, an English teacher to be will be able to share and apply it when they are teaching, especially English subject, to his or her students. And for students, studying morphology helps them to comprehend reading text easily. It also can help them to develop their morphological awareness or linguistic awareness ability that belongs to human being. Okay, these are the references that we use in making this presentation. Okay, that's all about the explanation from group 6. We're sorry if we did mistakes. And we will end this presentation by saying thank you and goodbye.